Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show where we take your sources and unearth the most important insights, giving you that shortcut to being truly well-informed. Today, we're embarking on a deeply sobering yet incredibly important deep dive into an aviation tragedy that has really gripped the world. The Air India flight AI-171 crash.
It's definitely a case that, even just in its preliminary findings, has revealed some truly puzzling, frankly stunning details. It challenges some of our deepest assumptions about what makes modern air travel so remarkably safe.
Yeah.
Our sources today include official preliminary reports, from the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, comprehensive expert analyses, and even a unique, really invaluable perspective from a seasoned airline pilot and counselor, Captain Steve.
Right. And our mission for you, the listener, is to really unpack the critical chain of events that led to this disaster. We need to understand the specific preliminary findings that point to an incredibly unexpected cause, and then kind of zoom out.
Yeah, see the bigger picture.
Exactly. See what this tragic incident tells us about the enduring and often complex role of the human element in aviation safety. It's a story that brings the concept of human action, both, deliberate and maybe unintentional, into sharp, often uncomfortable focus. Okay, so let's unpack this right away. Air India Flight 171, it's a state-of-the-art Boeing 787 Dreamliner, had 230 passengers, 12 crew members on board, flying from Ahmedabad to London Gatwick. And then on June 12, 2025, just moments after lifting off the runway, disaster struck. Incredibly fast.
Yeah, and what's truly remarkable here, maybe remarkable isn't the right word, profoundly concerning from the get-go, is the direct cause identified in Captain Steve's analysis of that preliminary report.
What was it?
Both engine fuel control switches. They transitioned from the rem end position to cutoff within a second of each other, precisely at 08.08.42 GMT.
Both of them. Within a second.
Both. This wasn't like a gradual failure or one engine sputtering out. It was an instantaneous, absolute cutoff of fuel supply to both engines, leading to a complete and immediate loss of thrust. The aircraft, it only remained airborne for less than 60 seconds after that happened, barely 8 to 10 seconds after its wheels had even left the ground, before it just lost all lift and crashed into a medical college hostel. The devastation was, immense, tragically killing all 241 people on board and 19 more on the ground.
Just unbelievable. Such a rapid and devastating sequence. It leaves almost no window for any kind of recovery. The official timeline from the preliminary report, it reads like a chilling countdown. Let me run through it quickly. 08.07.39 GMT. The aircraft lifts off. Everything's looking normal.
Get it, takeoff.
It's 8.08.42 GMT.
Yeah.
Both engine fuel switches abruptly go to cutoff. That's the critical moment. 08.08.47 GMT. Just 5 seconds later, engines lose power completely. The ram air turbine, the RAT, deploys automatically. That's the backup kicking in.
Right, the emergency power.
08.08.52 GMT. The engine 1 fuel switch is seen to be moved back to run. 08.08.56 GMT.
Yeah.
Then engine 2 switch is also moved back to run and attempt to restart.
Trying to recover, yeah.
08.09.05 GMT. The pilot transmits a distressed Mayday, 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 08.09.11 of GMT. That's when the final data is recorded. The aircraft impacts the ground.
And what just jumps out at you in that timeline is the incredibly short window, just under 30 seconds from that fuel cutoff to impact.
2 seconds.
Despite those, immediate attempts to restore power by moving the switches back to run, the report is explicit. It says there was simply insufficient time and altitude for the engines to spool back up and recover before impact.
So close to the ground already.
Exactly. And this detail means the aircraft, which was fully fueled for its long flight to London, it experienced what's known as fuel starvation. Fuel was there, but it wasn't reaching the engines, which is very different from fuel exhaustion, where the plane literally runs out of gas.
Okay, so what does this all mean? Usually when we hear about a plane crash, our minds, they almost instinctively jump to mechanical failure, don't they? You think flaw in the design, engine malfunction, some hidden defect. But the preliminary findings here, according to multiple sources, like that AAIB report, they tell a profoundly different story.
They really do. The reports explicitly state, and this is critical, no identified mechanical or systematic issues. Not with the Boeing 787-8 aircraft itself, nor its GE GXX-1B engines.
So the plane was fine.
The aircraft was deemed fully airworthy, it had done all its checks, everything was okay from a mechanical standpoint. And this absence of mechanical fault, it places the entire focus Well, squarely on pilot action, as the reports suggest.
Lots of action. Okay.
Which immediately raises a very difficult, very unsettling question for the investigators. How? How could these critical, safeguarded fuel control switches be moved to cutoff during flight, especially right after takeoff?
Right, because that's where it gets really crucial, isn't it? Experts, seasoned pilots, they all agree these aren't simple flip switches you could just accidentally knock.
Not at all.
They require very deliberate action. We're talking switches that are spring-loaded, maybe shielded or recessed.
Shielded.
And they need that precise three-step procedure. Grasp it, pull it up over a pretty significant click or detent.
Right.
And only then can you move it to Cutoff. The whole design is specifically engineered to prevent exactly this kind of unintended activation.
Absolutely. Accidental movement, especially of both switches within a second of each other, it's considered by, well, pretty much everyone in the industry to be next to impossible under normal flight conditions.
Okay, next to impossible.
Yep.
And then there's the ram air turbine, the ARAT.
Yes, consider the RE. This little turbine, it pops out to give emergency power. It deployed almost immediately, within 4 to 5 seconds of that fuel cutoff.
That fast.
That fast. Normally, the RA deploys at higher altitudes, maybe takes 30 to 60 seconds for engines to fully spool down after they lose power naturally. It's rapid deployment here. While the plane systems knew it was airborne, the airborne logic was active, it strongly indicates a sudden, complete loss of engine power.
Consistent with flicking a switch.
Entirely consistent with an immediate, deliberate fuel cutoff. Not a gradual mechanical failure, not a slow flame out. The system reacted exactly as it should if someone just cut the fuel lines, essentially.
And adding to this mystery, maybe the most chilling detail from the cockpit voice recorder, was that exchange. One pilot asking the other, "Why did you cut off the fuel?" To which the other pilot responded, "I did not."
Yeah, that's deeply puzzling.
That contradiction, combined with how deliberate you have to be with those switches and the fact the plane was healthy, it just deepens the core why of this tragedy. It's not just what happened, but how and who, or maybe what human factor could possibly lead to that action, especially if the pilots themselves seemed unaware, at least initially.
Exactly. For investigators, once you rule out mechanical failure, the complex world of human factors becomes the absolute focus.
Which leads us directly to that persistent challenge.
Right.
Human error in aviation.
Yeah.
The Air India 171 crash, this fuel starvation scenario despite plenty of fuel. It's a classic, if devastating, example.
It is. And it forces human factors specialists to look beyond the obvious. They start examining things like, were scan patterns off? Was there cognitive tunneling under the stress of takeoff? A momentary lapse? Or even, some deeply ingrained muscle memory issue that, despite the safeguards, led to an unintended input. It gets very complex.
And historically, pilot error, in that broad sense, accounts for just over half of worldwide scheduled air transport accidents where we know the cause. That's a huge number.
It's a staggering figure, yeah. It really puts the challenge into perspective. And we've seen other incidents, tragically, in the past that offer lessons, even if the specifics are different.
Like what?
Well, you think of Varig Flight 254 back in '89, crashed because the pilot entered the wrong heading, led to fuel starvation over the Amazon. The lesson there was about rigorous cross-checking of navigation data for Helios Airways 522 in 2005. Crew incapacitation from a wrongly set pressurization system eventually led to fuel starvation. That hammered home pre-flight checks and crew alertness.
Right, I remember that one.
Even going back further, Eastern Airlines 401 in 1972. The crew got so fixated on a burned-out landing gear light, they didn't notice the autopilot had disconnected, flew right into the Everglades. Distraction.
So these cases, they all point towards the importance of procedure.
Absolutely. They highlight the critical need for accurate fuel planning, yes, but also consistent monitoring of everything. And crucially, strict, unwavering adherence to procedures and checklists. Even the seemingly mundane checks, discipline is paramount.
It seems that even with all the advanced technology we have now, the 787 is incredibly advanced. The human element is still the primary focus in these investigations.
Yes.
But it's not just about what goes wrong, is it? It's also about what goes right when humans are at their best. We focus on the errors, but humans also save planes.
That's a vital point. While human error can be a tragic cause, the human element is also absolutely indispensable for safety. Think about British Airways Flight 9 in '82. Flew into volcanic ash, all 4 engines flamed out.
Over Indonesia.
Right. That's the one. The crew, through incredible skill and perseverance, got them restarted, saved the plane. Or the famous Miracle on the Hudson, U.S. Airways 1549 in 2009.
Sully Sullenberger.
Captain Sullenberger and First Officer Scowls. Double bird strike right after takeoff, lost both engines. They ditched it safely in the river. Pure skill and judgment. Or even that DHL cargo plane hit by a missile near Baghdad in 2003, lost all hydraulics, landed using only engine thrust.
Unbelievable feats.
These are powerful examples of human ingenuity, training, discipline, adapting under immense pressure. Situations where automation alone just wouldn't cut it. It shows why you need skilled humans in the loop.
And this is where crew resource management, CRM, comes in.
Yes, precisely, CRM. It started with NASA research way back in 1979, specifically aimed at reducing pilot error by making better use of all the human resources in the cockpit. Communication, decision-making, leadership, teamwork.
And it's evolved quite a bit since then.
Oh, massively. The early days, some people jokingly called it charm school, focused a lot on just individual styles, but it quickly grew into a broader team-based approach. Now we're in the fifth generation, often called the error management approach.
Error management.
Yeah. It starts from a pragmatic place. Human error is ubiquitous and inevitable. We all make mistakes. So CRM is seen as a set of error countermeasures. Strategies to avoid errors, sure, but also to trap errors before they cause trouble and to mitigate the consequences if an error does happen.
How does that work in practice?
It involves things like formal training on human limits, fatigue, stress, cognitive bias, and crucially, encouraging a non-punitive culture for reporting errors. So airlines can actually learn from mistakes without pilots fearing blame. It's about process, discipline, constant learning.
That focus on the human, the person inside the pilot uniform, reminds me of that powerful anecdote from Captain Steve in our sources.
Ah, yes.
He talked about a question he started asking his fellow pilots during pre-flight checks. How are you doing? But not just the quick find, a real inquiry.
A genuine check-in.
Exactly. He shared a story from his Navy instructor days. A student was flying terribly, making basic mistakes. Turns out the student was under incredible personal stress. His father was attempting suicide.
Oh my goodness.
By just asking that simple, direct question, is everything okay? Captain Stephen uncovered the problem. He took the student off duty, ensured his safety. It just powerfully highlights how vital it is to acknowledge the pilot's mental and emotional state. It can absolutely affect performance no matter how good the training.
It really underscores the need for that clear head, that personal accountability to say, hey, I'm not okay to fly today. It's part of the safety system, too.
So, the Air India 171 crash, it's just such a stark reminder, isn't it? Even with incredibly sophisticated systems designed to be foolproof, the human factor is still the most complex variable.
It really is.
It wasn't a mechanical failure, according to these early reports. It was a series of human actions, deliberate yet seemingly erroneous, and potentially some underlying human issue we don't yet understand. That led to this catastrophe.
And the industry, continues to pour resources into human factors, training, CRM, advanced simulators, learning from every single incident. It just reinforces the need for vigilance, strict procedures, discipline checks, and that open communication about well-being.
Yeah, it's about understanding that fallible but also incredibly adaptable human brain within the system.
Ultimately, this investigation, still in its early days, really brings to mind that famous line from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, doesn't it? When you have eliminated all which is impossible, then whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
And the improbable truth here seemed to point towards
a deliberate human action based on the preliminary data, which makes the why, the root human factor behind that action, the ultimate and perhaps the most challenging mystery to solve. It's a sobering reminder that even robust systems can be vulnerable to unexpected human input.
So as you go about your day-to-day, maybe think about this. In your own life, where do you rely on disciplined systems, on procedures? And where does your own individual vigilance, your deliberate action, your personal integrity make all the difference? What critical switches do you consciously or maybe unconsciously manipulate in your daily routines? And what might be the why behind those actions, the pressures, the distractions, the assumptions? Something to consider.